Hey, it's Brandon Lemonds with American Stone, and this is Rock Talk. Today we're going to learn how to build it right. We're going to be going over our Flagstone Patio and what steps that need to go through to make sure that this is a project that will last years and years to come. Because you don't want to have something that you put all this hard work into and then it fall apart in a year and a half. Before you start your project, you want to think about what it takes to get it ready and prepped. Preparation is always key to having something last forever. So that includes how deep we need to dig and what kind of soils and preparation that we need to put in before we even lay the first stone. What I like to think about is what is the project going to be used for? Is it a patio that you're going to be sitting down and dining with everybody? Is it going to be having a fire pit? There's a lot of things that you may be thinking about what it's going to be used for. You want to encapsulate those things before you even start digging, so that you make sure that it's all done correctly and done the right way. Once you determine, a lot of times your depth can determine on your type of product that you're using, how thick it's going to be. So you think from the top layer down. So if this is going to be 2 inches thick, if it's 1.5 inches, that use those measurements to get your depth. A good rule of thumb is anywhere from 4 to 6 inches thick of a base. And so what we've got is a road base. So road base is a compactable gravel. It's got sand, gravel, chips in there, and it compacts very well. Then on top of that, we would put our Heber concrete sand, which also is compactable. There are other alternatives, such as a loose gravel, and then a chip. And we'll go over some of the reasons why you would use different options. Now that we've figured out the project that we're doing, what we're using the patio area for, we want to think about base material. So our base, our road base, and the drainage that goes into it. You always want to think about water. Where is it going to go? Because water can cause problems further down the road if it is not taken care of correctly. So you always want to have a good base that's going to allow that water to drain and drain in a direction that you want it to be going. And then as well with that is you want to think about the level and where, if you want your patio, obviously you want it to be nice and level, but you also want to make, if you're putting it up next to, let's say, your house, an outbuilding, you want to make sure that water is running away from that building. So you want to keep that level throughout that whole project. And so you'll use your, you'll set your levels, just making sure that it's got the correct slope in the direction so that it's keeping that water running the way that you want. Some people will use 2x4s to outline and help give them a guide to keep it level. Some will also use wires as a way to level and screed their product. So we'll kind of go over how you screed, what that entails, and what that is. So we are going to be using for our base, which we call is our road base. It is a compactable road base. So an important thing with road base, a compactable road base, is that you want to make sure that you're going in layers and compacting it every so often. So in this project, well, obviously it's not out in the backyard, but it's still the same concept. So you want to take that base, and so you're going to, like we talked about before, is you would essentially be screeding. So this is screeding. So what you're doing is you're pulling that base back to a level. You'll screed it through and get it to the level that you want. And so then what a lot of time you'll take your compactor, you'll actually go through, whether it be a hand compactor like this or a plate compactor that you rent from a local rental store, but you'll go through and you'll actually just compact it down, and so that's nice, compact, and level. And then you can also add a little bit of water as you're going to help that kind of settle and stay firm. Because the reason why we want it compacted is we don't want that project shifting in 2 or 3 years. We want it built the right way. So you'll go through and you'll compact that throughout the whole process. And so then once you have that compacted and you have your base, so you'll go 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layers, depending on your depth. You'll go through and compact. Then we're going to take our sand, and then that sand is going to go on top. And same process, you go through and we would pour it on. And we're going to screed that through. And so you'll get it nice and thoroughly cover on this whole project. So I need a little bit more, but we can make that work. And so on sand, this is a good base, but it can also be compactable. It's still going to shift around and move as you're going throughout the project, but you can still go and compact that because you want it nice and level. I will say with flagstone, it's a little more not on your sand barrier. It's not necessarily a need because your flagstone has a lot of different depths. So you're going to want to embed that in the sand so that the stone's not rocking while it's in there. So essentially you'd be taking your step and you're going to want to make sure it gets in there so that you don't feel like it's moving on you. Because if you can leave any voids, then it's going to eventually settle. So then we're going to start laying our flagstone into our base here, our sand. Another thing to think about, your flagstones are going to vary. I like this. This is the more artistic part of the project where you get to start creating that space that you've wanted and desired for years. So now it's kind of fun. You get to decide, do I want my gaps to be a little bit bigger? Do I want them, a little bit bigger? Do I want to kind of fit them close? Do we want to kind of keep those same angles, keep it tight? It's all just dependent on you and your space and what you want to do with it. The important thing again is making sure that we've done this correctly, using the right base, using the right um, levels, correct material, and then going through. So then you'll just start picking your stones and throwing them on there and find what you like and what you don't like. You don't like a piece in a spot, save it for later. Try it in a different spot. Flagstone, the natural stone's really fun because you can use both sides. It's got a lot of characters in it. You can break them down into smaller pieces. Allows you to kind of fit them into place. Flagstone also is going to be, so like you see here, this one's very thin. So that's why I like to have a little bit of extra sand on hand, and you can raise that one up a little bit and still set it in, make sure that it's nice and level. So then again, you're going to be checking your level as you go, making sure that it's following that level, that direction that you want it to be in. So now that we've got our patio or our project all set, we're going to go over the next processes on what you want to do to make sure it's done the right way. So a lot of times you want to think about the edge, what's going to hold in this sand layer that we're going to be putting in next. So there's a lot of great options. There's a natural stones that you can use to butt up against that. It's a good way to hold all your project in, border it, make it feel really nice and meant to be, and as well as allows you for your next project, whatever may be on that other side. You can as well as use like a plastic or metal edging. These will hold in, they hold up really well. I like the natural edges. It just gives it that natural feel. Continues that same flow that you're already going with the flagstone look. So on this, we're going to use like a polymeric sand. Our poly sweep is a great product to help solidify that project so it doesn't move and again will last for years and years to come. This is poly sweep is an extreme wide, so you can use your smaller gaps or you can even go all the way up to 4 inches and still have this product in there and work perfectly for your product. Here we have them a little tighter, but we'll kind of go over the sand and what process it goes into creating that space. So if you're not wanting to use the poly sweep, there are other options to use in between your stones. I like to think about, again, what is that project going to be used for? Is it a sitting area? Is it a place where everybody's going to be coming together dining? Sometimes having to think about those things, want to make sure it's, again, lasting for a long time. The other options could be like a gravel that goes in between. So like here we've got a small gravel that will go in between as well as, so you can use all sorts of different types of gravel. You can use a larger or a smaller gravel that's going to go in and give you that look that you're looking for. Or you can go ahead and do like a moss. I love doing the moss one. It's something natural. Again, you spread those joints out a little bit wider. You set that moss in and it allows it to grow in, and that's going to help hold that project in, make it last, and as well as work great for your drainage. Again, another thing to think about with is if you're going to do a gravel and it's an area that you're going to be using quite frequently, use the SEK Perma Stick. So that is like a rock glue. It's something that you can spray on, you can brush on, you put it on the stone, and then what it will do is lock them into place so that they're not moving around or blowing around in the wind. But if not, for this purpose, we're going to be using the poly sweep and going over how to use this next step. So then we have other colors for the poly sweep. You've got your black, your platinum, your tan, and your gray. Gray options and colors, they all come in the extreme wide, so they're able to work with any flagstone project and be able to still hold up on your project. So we're going to use, right now we have our tan. We're going to go in, and so with your poly sweep, once you've got your everything's level set and you've got the stones where you like it and you're loving the project, now what we're going to do is pretty simple. You just cut up in your bag and you're just going to dump in the poly sweep. The great thing about this is it goes on dry, and then you take your little broom and what you do is you just sweep it off the face of the stone, and then you're going to sweep it into those joints, reveal all those stones, get it back in, fill all those gaps. You know, some of those stones might be high and you want to get it back in there, and then get it up on your edge. So then as you're brushing it in, it may be a little bit dusty, but that's okay. Your end result's going to shine. Is what you're going to use water to make this sand harden up, solidify. Any other technique that we've learned over the years is having like a little leaf blower or some kind of blower to be able to also blow off any of that haze. So then as you get those in, just sweep and brush it in. Brushed in. So then in the watering process, that's going to help the stone and the poly sweep solidify. It's kind of like another compaction layer. It helps it hold it all together and not be moving around. What you'll do is you'll take water, get a hose and put it on like on a shower mode, shower the water on there, because you don't want a direct stream on there. It'll kick up all that sand. You want to just nice light mode so that it can get in and absorb. What you want is you want that water to go all the way through, because if you don't get that water all the way through down low, it's just going to give us just a surface and only harden up on the surface and not all the way through. You want to make sure that water gets all the way down. So as you go through, you water it, you get your little leaf blower, blow it off any of the residual, and then let it kind of cure a little bit for maybe 5-10 minutes, come back and then water it again. That allows it to kind of settle in, but then also you're not overwatering it. What happens with overwater is it'll kind of lift the sand up, kind of get over, and it's just kind of hard to work with until it kind of soaks back through. So once you're finished with the poly sweep and the water, you can take your little leaf blower, blow off any of the excess sand. Your project's complete. There are other features and add-ons that you can go through, such as the SEKs, matte look, wet look, or dry look. It's simple spray on, and it adds to that area that you've already done, as well as you can add on boulders, water features, lighting, benches, any kind of aggregates, even a putting green if you like to get out and you need to practice a little bit. There's so much more that you can add to this now done project to just encapsulate it more for what you want. Thanks for joining us today on Rock Talk. I hope you learned something. Comment patio for your free project planner.